Evening, folks. Can't see very much of anything at the moment in here. It's absolutely pitch black, but outside of the woods it's a bit of probably another hour before it actually gets really dark. So we're up at Longridge again. Two breaks if you pay attention to that. So
do I have to?
yeah, Rob and I have just been saying I had this discussion with John Spence in Dartford the other week about the stick structures, and eventually after 14 months I have got to the point now where I'm looking for something more, and I think John raised a good point about our objective. What's our objective? And I think if you ask each individual member of the research team, that would be a hard question to answer. I think for people like Deb, I guess it's different. For witnesses, they know they're out there. I guess they don't really need validation, even though it would be nice. For me, I want validation. Because we can find as many stick structures as we like. It doesn't get us any further down that path. And let's be frank, the stick structures here, or at least in the northwest, that I have seen, they're not spectacular. Far from it. Far from it. In comparison to the American, Canadian ones, they're just worlds apart. That's not to say they're not important. It's just, I think in as a researcher, you sorry, it's gone a bit dark, hasn't it? But it's really dark in here. As a researcher, you come to a point. I think you come to a stage where you need more. So again, I put myself in the right spot and see what happens. That's all I can do. And I think putting yourself in the spot is part of it. It's a large part of it, actually. If you're not putting yourself out there in the places, you're not giving yourself much of a chance if you want that experience. It's not to say it's going to happen, but if you put the intent out there, if that means anything, I'm inclined now to start listening to the people that have been doing this the longest, the people that have talked with First Nations people. You might say that's not relevant here in Britain, but I think you'll find traditions world over are the same. And I'm more inclined to believe someone that's been around, or a culture that's been around centuries, than I am to believe one that's sat at home watching YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to cut this now and then start a new one soon. It's getting a bit buggy. See you soon. Back at Longridge, we're going to plant the second audio device. First one was a trail cam, which we left down the trail probably about a mile back, in the hope that we get something down there where last time we recorded some sort of crashing in the trees. We couldn't really make out what it was, to be quite honest, but hearing something. Yeah, so I'll plant this now. I just need to try and remember where we've put it, Rob. This fallen tree here.
Yeah, it's a good marker.
So it's definitely recording. So now what we'll do, we'll try and find somewhere further away and plant the third device, and then set up the base and just chill out for a bit. There's a meteor shower apparently tonight, so that should be pretty cool. And check in another half an hour. So cheers. So we've set up base here now. Been here for about half an hour, 40 minutes. Rob's off there, up in that direction somewhere. Just sitting in the dark, just waiting, listening. And that's all we can do. We put ourselves in the spot and we just wait. It's a bit disheartening when nothing happens. Yes. No.
Like I said, I was blowing some tunes there. I heard like walking down here. I thought it was you walking round.
No.
Straight up.
Straight up. Rob's just saying he's just heard someone walking through the trees up there. He thought it was me. No, it's all right, mate. He's apologising, but that's. I mean, he's way off in that direction, and I've been sat here trying to take in long exposures in various directions, and just nothing at all. It's a very clear night tonight, and as I said earlier, there's a meteor shower planned, so that should be good, if nothing else. But it's just another night investigation. You just got to keep going, and I don't know. There's just something about this area. Sometimes you get a feeling about an area, and despite the reports, there's 2 reports up in this area. I think in Britain, where you've got smaller woodland, and I just don't feel there's the chance of habitation as much in these places, particularly where I am now, at Longridge Fell, Clitheroe. In the northwest is Lancashire, and it's not like America. I think there's someone walking up there. Rob's insisting there's something walking around up there, so we better go and take a look, shall we?
Like this crunching noise now. What we're making. That like snapping like that, just like I'm doing there. It was this deer right close to me, so I looked over my shoulder, but because I had the torch pointing to me, I couldn't see behind me because the torch was in my eye. So I just thought, oh, it's Chris, he must be walking up here. So I just carried on playing, and then I heard it again a moment later. That's why I came back and asked. And then as you were still recording, I heard it again down the bottom here, right close, like that snapping noise.
Well, activity at last, of some description. Last time we came here, we had some.
It's now what I'm doing, like crunching like that.
So I mean, it's quite. You can't really mistake something for walking through this brush. I mean, you're either walking through it or you're not, and you can hear. I could hear Rob making his way back over here, so I don't know. Carry on doing what you're doing and see what's what. See what happens.
Right. As I said, right, I was just blowing random tunes. It's don't, you know, it sounds okay, but I was sat here. I had my phone lent on the bottom of the tree and the torch pointing at me like that, because I was hoping to get something behind me. That snapping noise there, I first heard it this direction here where these smaller trees are, and then you can see on my video I'm like, I do this. I'm like pointing like that, you know, like walking sound. So I just carried on playing, and then I heard it behind me here, and then I stopped again. I thought, that unless it's you.
Not me. I've been sat in that chair.
That's what I mean. I thought, unless it's you just coming up to me or just checking a bit of the woods out or something. So I carried on playing. I heard it again. That's why I came over and asked you, "Are you walking?" You said no, and I saw you were sat down recording.
Disheartening when nothing happens. Yes.
You were walking.
No.
Like I said, I was blowing some tunes there. I heard like walking down here. I thought it was you walking round.
No?
Straight up.
Straight up. Rob's just saying he's just heard someone walking.
And then after I asked you that, I heard it again here. And it was this, like I said, bipedal, like that crunching the sticks on the floor walking. And I'm going to see if I've picked it up on my audio here.
So, a little bit of activity. You can hardly mistake someone walking past you, particularly your senses are heightened in this area. And Rob's been... We decided tonight just to try everything and anything. And if it meant bringing recorded children laughing and noises and playing, or the flute, as Rob, you can hear Rob playing the flute. Apparently his wife's thrown him out of the house for practicing with the flute. But well, it's all good fun. I mean, but as I said before, I feel after 14 months, which isn't a very long time, I had, we're missing a trick somewhere along the line. We're missing a trick, aren't we? Something's... I feel still in my heart that it's the more remote parts. Obviously I was up Scotland a couple of months ago, but definitely a return trip. Northumberland first, and then up onto Scotland, and a wild camp up Scotland. And there's only so many wild camps you can do. I mean, this is all for Elusive, of course, for the film. But the work will go on. I have some plans moving forward after Elusive. But the plan for Elusive is really just to get word out about Elusive and get some support now, and try and push things forward. I think that's something we need to do with the group as well. I think with the I've had a couple of discussions with Deb about this before, about the group really needs some resources. Even if we, I spoke to John Spence about this, I spoke to Rob about it, and there are very few researchers still here in the UK, and with very little resources between us. Obviously, I've got the equipment that I use for the production, but they're only cameras. I mean, the good quality cameras. But we need other things. We need first of all, it's ridiculous that the British Bigfoot hasn't got a website, and I think that's something we need to really focus on, getting that finalised and finished and funded. There are enough of us in the groups and enough of us interested to fund the annual fee of £75 to build one. It only has to be a simple. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It needs to be somewhere that people can report to. I mean, that already exists through Deb and Deb's blog, but I'm sure Deb would like an official place to come, something that she can head and carry on doing what she's doing. Sorry, Deb, giving you more work. And I'll do what I can, and I'm sure all of us will do what we can. The sort of movement is sort of growing now. There's interest from abroad, and I'm certainly interested in getting into other parts of Europe as well, past Elusive. I mean, there's still a lot of Britain to see. Over to Ireland, that needs to happen in the next investigations. And these are all plans that I have that... How do they benefit British Bigfoot? How does it benefit? And again, it comes back down to what I was saying earlier about objective, and that's a real tricky one. Each individual has their own objective. My objective with the film has changed. I've coined this term. It may already be out there, but I was writing some dialogue earlier for the film, and I termed it the Bigfoot flip flop. And I find myself flip flopping from one camp, if you like, to the other, flesh and blood, and the more paranormal side of things. Because what does paranormal mean? Ultimately, paranormal is sometimes I think that word gets a bit misconstrued. Ultimately, paranormal means anything beyond current scientific understanding, which wouldn't mean a great deal, would it? It doesn't. When you take into consideration that much of our science is hidden from us, some of it rightly so, I'm sure that somewhere in scientific circles they have some idea of what we dub paranormal. This is not delving into conspiratorial realms. It's just that when you look at the paranormal, whether it be ghosts, whether it be aliens, whether it be the jinn, for example, Middle Eastern myth, which is not a myth at all, they all carry that same Sasquatch in North America, all carry that same signature. All the correlations are there, but at this stage, for me, it's difficult to ignore those correlations. However, I'll continue down looking for physical evidence because I think that's a form of validation. Whether it's good enough for me, and it's going to be good enough for me going forward, I don't know.
May I say something?
Sure.
Right.
Let me just flip the camera on to Rob.
Yeah. Right. That feeling's gone now. Okay. I sensed something pass through. I heard it. The snapping, bipedal. Again, I thought it was you. I've just been back out there, just blowing a few random tunes. Right. There's nothing. It's gone. Whatever it was has passed and gone. So that got my attention. I was tingling all over. I heard footsteps close to me, but again now there's nothing there. So something did happen then.
Quite an eventful night up here for a bit different than last time. A little more seems to have happened. Particular experience that Rob had was probably, he tells me, one of the
You heard that then?
And we're doing this a lot tonight. Every time we sort of stop for a chat, we're hearing breaks and what sounds like murmuring. I mean, and I'm pretty, I've said to Rob on the way here, and I've said it in videos in the past, I've never really experienced anything other than the structures. Tonight has been the first time that I've thought there's something around. Even now I can hear stuff
You heard that as well.
around us.